underlying energy is the Eight of Cups. Underneath that is the Queen of Wands. Good for y'all. Y'all fire. Y'all connected with y'all fire. You know, this is probably dealing with somebody that is your partner and you're just dissatisfied with the situation at hand. You're not feeling it. And that's not a bad thing. That means you're looking to find a different avenue, find different ways to handle situations. You're not trying to walk away or break up with somebody in a relationship potentially. But at the same time, you don't like where it's going, so you're done. Okay, so the situation underlying is the Five of Pentacles. So already we talked about some tough ass energy. Five of Pentacles talks about feeling left out in the cold, not going in the direction you want to go in. You know, it could feel like, well, not necessarily going. It's not necessarily not going in the direction you're going. It's feeling lack. Most importantly, there's a lot of lack in the situation. You feel like there's something missing, or not necessarily missing, but there's a lot of lack. Whether this is support, this is, you know, emotional connections, right? You know, or you're just feeling, all in all, feeling left out in the cold. But what's crossing you is the moon. It's interesting. It's almost like it's saying you don't know what's lacking, you just feel like it, or that there's like a high intensity of vulnerability that's making you feel like you guys are, you know, left out in the cold. Like you just, or it makes you even feel like even more what you may not have enough of. The moon is very interesting because it talks about trusting your intuition and following your intuition and doing all that wonderfulness. But, you know, you're going through a great deal of change, the Five of Pentacles rather, but the moon is crossing it. You just don't know. Like, it's at the end of the day, you just kind of like, you don't know what's lacking, you just know that something's not right. You know, something's just missing, and that's not enough. Maybe the emotional aspect in itself is void, and that's intensified. Right? It's just like feeling completely emotionally done. This is an energy drain in itself. The Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Cups. So it could be that there's an energy drain, and that's what's lacking. You just don't feel anything, and that feeling of nothing is intense. Nothing is going on, or nothing that you can see anyway. Oh, gosh. Now, in the past, you had the Ten of Pentacles, so there was a commitment here. Getting to a nice place of stability, support, security. It's a really wonderful card to get in the past. It talks about that there is a foundation, at least, that you are leaning on within this relationship that you felt committed to, that the other person felt committed to as well. It's a wonderful card to have in the past. Definitely talks about structure, something that that you felt, could lead to something long term. That is something long term, you know what I mean? As long as it'll last. But the situation that you got in the present is the Six of Swords. It's a transition. Now, the moon is crossing that, and that tells me that you may not have an idea about where you're going. You might not be sure where you're leaving behind either. So it's funny, the phrase that pops in my head before I was finishing pulling the cards was like, you don't know where you're going until you know where you're at, pretty much. You know what I mean? But the situation is like this. It's like you are moving forward, or there's a transition, and it's like either super intense or super confusing because you don't feel like you're going in any real direction. It's like you're leaving something behind, and you don't have an idea of what else is out there. You don't know what you're trying to get to. You're not sure of what you want. You just know that wherever you're leaving behind, it probably, it's just as a travel and as a journey in itself. There could be something, I don't think there's anything secret here too. There could be someone that's keeping some stuff to themselves, but I don't think that's the case. Because you don't have the High Priestess in this reading, you don't have the Seven of Swords. You only have the King of Cups, who doesn't necessarily communicate either. But the there's the moon energy. There's a lot of practical oriented energy here. And a lot of cards that indicate the avoidance of something. Most importantly, emotion. The moon would be the only card in here that would emphasize feeling something. But there's no feeling anything. There's like a lot of facts, a lot of figures, but where's the emotion? Where's the feelings behind this? There's none, really, other than just feeling dissatisfaction. And feeling emotionally done with what you got going on. Okay? So that could explain why you may be feeling ready to transition, or you guys have been setting out and doing some traveling, or do some spiritual transitioning, and you kind of don't know where you're going. And perhaps it's the situations that perhaps you're turning your back at the moon, which is like pretty much leaving behind a confusing situation. Maybe you guys have gained some distance between somebody because you're just not sure of what the hell's going on yourself within the relationship. You don't know what the hell's going on. All you know is that you lack clarity of what's going down. Like you feel like you left out in the cold. You left out cold and in the dark. That's what you feel like. Like maybe there's something going on with your boo, and the boo ain't saying nothing, so you feel confused as hell. Like you don't know what the hell's going on. It was great in the beginning, and all of a sudden it's acted all crazy. And that's not something you want to deal with. You're not interested in doing that. You're not interested in dealing with somebody that's not going to be straight up with you. At the same time, it could be that you're the same way, but at the same time, you may not be sure of what it is that's tripping you all out either. You know what I mean? It could be the both. It could be either one. Either that somebody around you is not being open and not communicating with you, and you're left in the dark, kind of confused as to what's going on, and you're just not feeling it. But you're not going to completely leave the person or leave the situation. The Seven of Swords, the Six of Swords, and the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups, Six of Swords. They both turn their back to the situation. Now, I would never see this as a ghosting situation. Maybe you all just left, or there's somebody else that left, and it's just kind of like, what? What? You just kind of left without any real information. But I don't say that's the case. Because if usually ghosting would be the Seven of Swords, like you're sneaking out, nobody even knows you left. But the conflict could be that the situation could be that someone left due to some sort of conflict or some sort of something. I don't know. I don't think anybody really left. I think really this is more of just like there's a transition or there's some sort of movement based off of what is lacking, which is information and clarity. And it's like you don't really know where to go from there, but you know that you have to go somewhere. The future holds the Three of Swords. So you jump all the way three down. So you jump from the Six of Swords in the present to the Three of Swords in the future. Now this is talking about already looking at old issues, perhaps reoccurring. Three that you're going over. That is, you're looking at the past. You're looking at the old stuff that hurt. You're looking at the things that weren't you may not have looked at before. Maybe this is talking about a situation where, those old issues or heartache will intensify only to help you see something that can truly help you. Maybe the Three of Swords here is showing you a trigger, or maybe there's a trigger in the situation here that's caused. Maybe the real reason why you're not able to really figure out what the hell's going on right now is because it probably has something to do with looking within yourself. Until you look within yourself at old issues that it sparks up, perhaps you won't be able to know. Now, the Three of Swords is not saying that you are going to experience heartache in the past. Everything is a projection, right? You're projecting the future from where you are right now, which is the Six of Swords. You're looking like you feel like you're going to be in the, you see your future as the Three of Swords, as some pain. But that's already an indication. Why do you see that as something painful? Something, and this is not just any old pain. This is pain that's been around for a long time. That's happened before. It happened a long time ago, and it hasn't healed properly. That's why I feel like you may be traveling back in a way to see what caused you these pains, so you could truly heal them. Because your goal and ambition is the King of Cups. This King of Cups, he's a healer, guys. He's a healer. He heals himself. He heals the people around him. He heals his heart. He's full of love. And there may be that there's a time of confusion right now. You may just need to just, give it to God in some ways and just love on yourself, love on the person that you love, and provide that person space that they need. Be the void that you feel like the person isn't able to fill at the moment. But at the same time, if this situation is bringing up old issues, perhaps it's a time now to go ahead and look at those situations, those old pains, those feelings of hurt, those traumas, and truly heal from those and truly move on from those, because they may be the reason why you're having a hard time at this moment, or maybe why things are so confusing because the situation may not be yours to bear in the first place, even though it is affecting you. It may just be that there's a course of events that's happening to help you, to have you look within. Now, in your external energy, you have the Ace of Pentacles. So this Ace of Pentacles could be that there's moving forward, moving on, and starting something new. That's actually, that has the potential for something from the past here. The Ten of Pentacles, commitment, long-term commitment here, longevity, stability, support, security. Something here that's definitely worth that, worth either up to you, right? It's up to you whether or not it's worth the trouble to commit to or not. But this is a new beginning, that's for sure. In the future. That moon though, that moon right there is just like crazy. You don't know what's going on. I don't like that. I would hate to be left in the dark. I would hate to be told, to be confused and just kind of trucked to my own devices. It's not fun, and nobody deserves that mess. And I feel like that's what you're having to do. But the situation is like you're going on a journey, you're going on a path that could, like I said, that's starting something new. It's a new path. Somebody may have offered you something, you may be traveling to it, and you may have all these issues regarding the relationship already. Maybe the relationship is established, but there's a lot of improvement that can come from it. Maybe you've committed to some sort of offer in the past, and now it's about the execution, and you're just like feeling like you're left in the dark because you don't probably, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going on, period, at the moment. And that then and there, it's like bringing up old issues, of probably of secrecy, of things that, that you feel like you are not in the loop about when you should be. But your outcome is showing the Queen of Swords. Now, for some of you guys, you could be seeing a Libra, Gemini, or an Aquarius. So this is you guys coming up in this reading. I did read the King of Cups as you guys, because obviously you guys are kings in the sense of being a fixed sign. Not that you guys are male or female, but that you are fixed energy. Now, the King of Cups could also indicate a Queen, can indicate a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, male or female, doesn't matter. Non-binary, it's, it's whoever fits the picture, fits the bracket of your reading. And I feel like the Queen of Swords, this Queen of Swords is you guys really getting to the bottom of the truth, but really knowing your truth, knowing what you stand for, knowing and standing by your beliefs. Because if the person that you're dealing with is leaving you in the dark, at least you can just be straight up with yourself and know what the hell's going on for you. I feel like at the same time, it's like somebody's just not communicating and you feel like you don't have any information to go on. You feel left out in the cold, or you feel like left in the cold and you don't know why. Which I'd definitely be shocked about. You're dissatisfied by something. The Queen of Wands, the person that you may be dating. Maybe it feels void of passion. But I don't think so. The moon is so confusing. Not that it's confusing to to me, but more of confusing in the sense of like confusing to purposely confuse to get people to retract. It's very interesting how that works out. Let's go ahead and take a look at your romance angels for this week. See what other information we can get here. Chemistry. There could be that something is intensified. But this is that there's a strong magnetic attraction here. That tells us something. I'm being sarcastic. I mean, I believe that there's somebody around you that you feel a great deal of something towards. The moon in the King of Cups could suggest that there's some seriously intense emotions. Very intense emotions. What does the wisdom of the Oracle say? Let's see what that comes up. Chop wood. Let's talk about taking action, doing the work, focusing on the task at hand. Not necessarily looking outside of yourself at the moment, just putting your head down. And the why is underneath the wisdom of the Oracle. Very interesting. And why talks about figuring out why things are the way they are. If something is not making any sense, it's good to ask questions. Now, the actual card that you got here is chop wood. And it's talking about putting in the effort, putting in the work. Doing the best that you can. Just continue to hammer things out. And the Six of Swords can talk about transition as you're going in now. And you have no real direction where you're going. There's a great change. But you feel like there may have been something that's been lacking in your life. And you could be going towards that change. It just you may not be sure where that looks like. You may be worried that you may hit a snag where it reminds you of something that's painful, or it's something that brings about something painful. Or it could be that you have the intention to move towards something that's actually very stable, the offer of something long term. Something that's actually like really, really nice. You know what I mean? But the fear is that you may not get that. You may get heartache instead. Or maybe that this is a period of separation or a time of distance, a great time of distance, and you feel like you're going to lack that fear of lacking contacts or physical contact with somebody will cause the relationship great misfortune. And that's not the case. You have the emotion here that's there, and then you have the communication. Ask the questions that you feel that you need, because right now you have a connection at this moment. You have something that you feel towards this individual. It's intense. It's saying this. It's a magnetic attraction. So it's not like you don't feel something for the person. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, family? So ask the questions needed. And guys, if this is a transition, it's just looking a little murky at the moment because you're not necessarily sure where it's going to go, that's okay. Because this doesn't need to be decided at the moment. Right now, you're going through a transition that you probably should just ride out. Because the moon talks about following your intuition and doing the best that you can here at Chopwood. It's just like focusing on the moment, focus on what you need to do. Don't focus so much on what's to come, what the future is, and don't psych yourself out with the moon. Just because there's some things that are dark, just focus ahead, look ahead. Don't look at the situation, right? Like, look at what you got going on right now, right? Focus on what you have right now. Focus on the steps that you take. If it helps you right in the moment, close your eyes. But don't blind yourself with or anything like that. Purposely be ignorant to the situation at hand if it comes up. But right now, it's just straight up confusion. There's no real understanding what's going on. So just go by what your heart is saying. That's the clarity that you need. Trust yourself. Trust your heart. Go with the flow. Because right now, there's really nothing you can do. There's not much you can do other than follow your heart anyway. And that's perfectly good enough. You have a promise of a potential promise or potential new beginning that you're going towards. You know that's where you're going. Don't worry about anything else on the sidelines. Don't even listen to the fears that are trying to say, hey, you probably shouldn't do this. Also be aware that these are not fears, right? If these are warnings from spirit, or this is intuition, because you don't ever want to confuse the two, be sure that that's what that is. If they're the warning signs, let them know, then it's the warning signs. But understand the difference between your spheres and intuition, because they can be kind of tricky sometimes. But it has to come from the heart, whether it's fears or your mind. Well, the mind, whether it's fears, or your heart with its intuition. Trust your heart, not your mind.